Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition, this show, this experience of listening to Chrism and companies such as Santara and Rosemary and other people talk about the Kundalini awakening experiences as it pertains to them. And it's a beautiful day here in Northern California on this November 2nd. And the sun is shining and everything is getting ready for the big sleep, the big onset of winter. And it's a beautiful, beautiful sight to behold. And so let's go ahead and start this show. I'd like to welcome everybody who's in the chat room, everybody who's calling in. We've got another Minnesota caller in. I believe that is Joey. Welcome, Joey. And to those of you that are tuning in the archives, I'd like to say hello to you as well. So here we go. With the Kundalini, the whole idea is really for you to begin to change in harmony with the Kundalini from an interior standpoint. All the time that you're surrounded by an exterior standpoint of people doing the exact opposite, typically, of what your Kundalini is telling you to do. Your Kundalini is telling you to surrender. It's telling you to trust where in the mundane world, trust would not be appropriate, where surrender would not be appropriate. It's telling you to change your eating habits, your thinking habits, your emotional habits, your physical habits, your sexual habits. It's asking you and insisting that you change in all these areas, whereas everything around you is giving you a different message, giving you a different example. And you have to understand that while you're inside of the egg, the protected egg of society and science and the known virtues that we all experience when we're inside the egg of the five senses and of the mundane life. Inside the egg, everything is familiar, but when you start to crack on the wall of that egg, as many of you are doing, you're coming out of the cocoon, you're beginning to open up into a larger reality. Well, that reality requires different manifestations of behavior from you. And this is what I'm talking about when I say you want to make the changes that reflect the new behaviors. So, for instance, you'll have to trust where you would not trust normally. If you're, as I have been many times in my life, I cannot tell you how many jobs I've had in my life, everything from restaurants to medical to hospitals to farming to, bookkeeping, accounting, where else? More medical, more agricultural, entertainment, musical. I've had so many different positions in my life. And within those positions, there have been some fairly difficult, shall we say, managers, for lack of an easier term. Bosses. The bosses have been difficult. Some of them have. Not, of course, not all of them, but some of them have been very, very difficult. And you just, you're inside of that equation and you just go, what the heck is this? How can this person live their life this way and be able to look at themselves in the morning in the mirror? And, if they have a mirror. And so you begin to ask yourself, well, what on earth can this be positive for me? Why? I mean, is the minimum wage enough for me to stay here at this job? Why would I and any of my coworkers allow this person to be so abusive and so hurtful and so demeaning of people's personalities and feelings and emotions and qualities? And why would this be allowed? What aspect of goodness can come to me through this? And of course, it's that whole idea of a tyrant, and how can we find goodness within the interactions that we would have with somebody who is manifesting a tyrant frequency of behavior. And let me open some of that up for you. I mean, what you can receive from a tyrant, the gifts of a tyrant, would be that of tolerance. And extremely important for you to be able to tolerate that which you may not agree with, that is not which is not always comfortable to you, because the Kundalini will begin to introduce understandings and comprehensions and levels of information into your awareness that it's not comfortable for you. It is not comfortable for you. You know, entities are just one example of extreme discomfort. You know, especially for someone who's newly into this, it's like, whoa, what the heck was that? You know, and so entities would be another thing. Surrender. You're thinking of what, in our Western society, surrender is like a dirty word. You never want to surrender. Surrender is the worst thing that a person could do, and certainly here in the States. You know, never say die, don't tread on me. You know, all of these sayings that we have in our culture here in the States. You know, we even got the flags to go with it. Got a flag of a Shakti snake, believe it or not. You know, on a yellow background, you know, and it says, don't tread on me. I just saw that the other day in a window. Don't tread on me. And, you know, we're always kind of like, never surrender, never say die, never give up. And we kind of associate it with not being a loser, or with not giving up before, you know, the time is right to, you know, before the job is done, or before the war is won, and things of that nature. And within the Kundalini context, surrender does not mean that at all. Surrender means that you open to what the Kundalini is bringing to you. You open to levels of behaviors that, even though they fly in the face of your upbringing within the Western societies, even though they deny you the familiar and open you up to the unfamiliar behaviors of giving yourself in meekness, in giving yourself, in allowing yourself to be controlled by a force that places you in proximity of certain people. It's very important for you to be able to do this, and to do this smoothly and with great levels of tolerance. So one of the gifts of a tyrant is tolerance, and the other gift of the tyrant, you know, is because as tolerance moves into surrender moves into forgiveness often, and often vice versa as well. Forgiveness can allow a person to slip into surrender much easier. And you have this constant level of surrender for this individual, this tyrant that you're working for or working with. And it's important for a person to be able to do that type of surrender and forgiveness, all within this stressful environment of, you know, somebody handpecking you, and that's just another saying for somebody micromanaging you and pushing you this way, pushing you that way, forcing you to do it their way, even though their way may not be the best way. You know, all my students are going, yeah, Chrism, yeah, we know somebody like that. All I can say is I've learned from the best. So it's important for people to understand that there are gifts that you can receive from a tyrannical person that you're involved with, that the Kundalini is allowing you to be involved with. And that's just 3 of them. You know, having a flexible work demeanor, i.e., having the ability to be flexible in how you do your work, you know, the way that person wants you to do your work. Looks like I got disconnected here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. So it looks like I got disconnected from my server. I'm going to go ahead and ask for a sound check from my friends here in the chat room, Emma and Mary Jean, Manisha. If you could please let me know if the sound is coming through. Appreciate that. I don't want to sit here and talk to the air. Looks like some folks are typing. Atlanta Secret, thank you. Lana Seeker, Mary Jean, Manisha. Okay, very good. Emma, thank you. Yeah. So, gosh, I don't know how far back I need to go. I'll just go as far back as saying that there are gifts from the tyrants that come into your life. Now, this is a human tyrant. This is a person that is the bottom line. We'll say, I'll just use this as an example. Is the bottom line is the most important thing, or doing it their way or the highway type of thing. And this is all fine and good, but when it comes to entities, you do not surrender to those entities. And if you're working for a person that is obviously possessed by entities, and you can always tell that by the levels of corruption that come into their interactions with you, corruptions that would encourage you to do things that are extremely against the ethical or moral compass that you may have. And so that's when you start looking for another job, or you just refuse to do it. Straight up, refuse to do it. And so, thank you, Martin. I believe that would be David. iMagic Art, is that right, David? I think it's David. Yeah. So that is where you kind of draw the line with it. If you know that person's possessed and they're starting to initiate corruption into your equation, time to go. Okay. But there are gifts from working with tyrants, and tolerance is very, very important. When you have the Kundalini, certainly in the beginnings of it, and even further on with it, the Kundalini itself can be fairly tyrannical. It can be very difficult for a person to all of a sudden just start shifting, their behaviors. Oh, I need to all of a sudden become 1,000 times more forgiving. Oh, I need to become 1,000 times more tolerant. Oh, I need to make this change here and that change there and this change over there and that change down there. And, one of the big things in our Western societies, I don't know if this is common throughout all the cultures of the world, but in the Western societies, we don't change that easily. We tend to really want to hang on to how we are, who we are, what we are, where we are, and why we are. And we don't really want to accept what life outside of the eggshell is showing us, certainly within the Kundalini context. And so it's very important for us to look at that from a Kundalini activated or awakened angle and go, I can do these changes. I can make these changes. I can do this. I can incorporate this into my life. I can become 1,000 times more forgiving and more tolerant, and I can make these behavioral changes in my life. I can do it immediately. I can start right now. That's the attitude that I want you to adopt. And yes, I know it's easier said than done. You can sit there in the rocking chair talking into this radio microphone, and it's all so easily said and harder to do. And this is true, but you're not going to be able to go back from this. You understand? Once this light is on, it's on. And you have got to learn how to live within the behavioral changes that light within you is pushing upon you. This enlightenment is meant to be for you. And so therefore, so are the behaviors and the changes and the traumas and the challenges and the joys and the pleasures and the gifts and the bliss and the ecstasy are also there for you to have. It is there on purpose, absolutely on purpose. Not an accident that you're here. Heck, it's not even an accident that you're listening to this program. Some old guy with a beard talking into a mic. Ancient guy. He feels ancient today. Today I slept so hard, so heavy, it was like I was drugged. And I woke up like at 11. I'm going, what? Oh, my God. The entire morning is gone, and I'm just like laying there, unconscious. I don't know what was going on, but here I am. Maybe I was just gearing up for this show, gearing up to give you guys as much energy as possible. I would like to Huh. I was going to introduce my co-host, but she is not here to be introduced. So instead, I'm going to go over here to Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez and welcome her to the program and to her Laranya to the program. And hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Chrism.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. Thank you. Hey, can you bring your mouth a little closer to that microphone? It sounds like you're a
Sure.
little... There we go.
How about now?
It's a little better.
Okay.
Hey, I was just going to ask you now, for everybody, for the new listeners, Elizabeth has the Kundalini. And the Kundalini in her recognizes itself as the symbol of the spider that is a direct representation of Shakti Kundalini, the spider, the serpent. These types of creatures, really are the representation of the active Kundalini sacred feminine within a person. And Elizabeth was down there in Peru with me and some other folks, and her Kundalini made a direct connection with her. Is that not true, Elizabeth?
Yes.
In a way that gives you downloads, right?
Correct.
Even though up there in Washington, she actually introduced herself much earlier than that, right? Like around the time of Kundalini in the castle and all that, right?
Yes.
Well, would your Kundalini or yourself, would you like to add anything to that?
Oh, I just wanted to say this whole topic, I was laughing so hard because you were literally describing my life, and I'm not even kidding. I have had a tyrant of some sort in my life since birth, literally, and I've always wondered, but normally the Kundalini will give me one, like my boss or the conductor of my high school band or my father or my, on and on. It's usually one at a time, and I deal with that, and it's a constant, surrender to tolerance and all of that my whole life. Lately, I'm not even kidding, I counted like 5 the other day in my life all at once right now with my boss and her daughter and this other person at my, it's like 3 at my work. And then I mean like a constant barrage of where you have to, like you said, do things the way they want it done. Whether it's right or not, you just have to be like, okay,
That's right.
And so literally and I've still got my father in my life, so yay. Still got that one. It's not, I deal with it better. It's not as bad as it was, obviously, with my karmic stuff in my early childhood or anything. But I was just curious the other day, why so many? Why is it all just, but then when you were talking, I realized why so many. And also I'm getting, like, her input at the same time, saying, and like, you see, this is why it gives you a higher level of, I want to say, pressure surrounding where you have to make quicker changes. And like last year, I thought that I had done everything at my work situation I was so proud of myself. I thought I passed every test that, and then the Kundalini took one of the people that was causing this at my work away, and she moved to another country. And I thought, this is a reward for, like, having, kept a semblance of grace and tolerance. And I thought I was very forgiving, and I was very, oh, no, she's back. She's been back for the last 6 months, and now she's leaving again. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get excited about it this time or think that I did something right because it'll just show up somewhere else, Oh, man, but it's so hard. It's like I just can't, everywhere I turn, and I have a teenager. So that's kind of like having another tyrant,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I never thought of that. Oh, my God. Yeah, for those of you that have children, the children can be absolute tyrants, especially when they're infants.
Oh, and the things they say, it's like, ouch, the teenagers, ouch.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
you just
that's
have
funny.
to keep being tolerant and so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
really
thank you.
Today's show.
And I think that these levels of tolerance are so crucial to Kundalini. I mean, because it's unrelenting. It is unrelenting refinement towards a very specific point within the experience of actual grace upon the flesh and grace upon the ego structures and the psychology, the mind structures and the emotional structures. I mean, it is going through a rock polisher that is polishing you 5 days from Sunday, or should I say 5 ways from Sunday. It's very, very, very intimate in how it refines the individual. And like you, Elizabeth, all my life, literally all my life, and I would say probably most Kundalini people would have had this all of their life. They would have had to go through these levels of refinement, these levels of change, these levels of patience, these levels of doing, even though it's not efficient, even though we have a better way. Well, they don't want that better way, and the Kundalini doesn't want you to, insert your better way into this situation because it's not about your better way. It's about your better tolerance of an inferior way. And what this really does is this promotes a level of patience, a level of kindness, a level of consideration into your interactions with other people that allow you to say, okay, let's see what you got. Let's go ahead and do it your way. And I will go ahead and disengage my egocentrism in knowing that my way is better, because it may not be about how the job gets done, but why the job is getting done. And the why does not always equal the how. Sometimes those people they need to find their voice. And you're going to laugh at this, Elizabeth. They need to find their voice. But it's true. They need to find their voice. They got to hit the wrong notes before they know that they're hitting the right notes.
Right.
They got to be able to throw up somewhere outside of the bowl sometimes. Oh my God. I'm referring to some of the ayahuasca experiences we shared together.
Oh, I was afraid you were referring to that. See, and there's another one. That took some tolerance. That took some, and then I think well then, should I really come back here after being thrown up on and not even reacting? And I thought I was like, it's okay, it's all good. I just wiped myself off and moved on. And yes, I get home and I have even more. I mean, really? Oh.
Hey, you handled getting barfed on the best that I've ever seen.
I thought I did, but and then I come back and I have more pressure with more. Oh
yeah.
Like you said, never. So.
No. Yeah, so it teaches you. One of the best trainings for these levels of tolerance that we're talking about here, really is what is, for lack of a better term. Oh gosh, I'm going to unplug my computer just a second here. All right, there we go. For lack of a better term, is what I refer to as Kundalini slave work. When you give yourself to the Kundalini as a slave, meaning you have no choices, you have no options, you don't make any decisions, you are there to be used by the Shakti or the Shiva the way they want you to be used. You have no choices, and you choose to adopt this position of total and complete submission meekness, and surrender. And what happens is because you're choosing to do this, and this is a thing that you want to do, you're able to adopt specific levels of tolerance that go far beyond those that are being inflicted upon you when you're in resistance. And this is a very, very, very proactive form of Kundalini surrender. And it's very, very important for people to understand that you are literally the slave to Shakti. And if the Shakti gives you to a teacher and she wants you to work with that teacher in the same way that you're working with her, then you're still a slave to Shakti, but the Shakti is just coming through that teacher. I have done this. And she put me into an employment position as a caregiver where I had to live with the people that I was caring for. And, you know, she made me do every little thing that they asked me to do. And she made me understand why I was doing it. And then she invited me to enjoy it, to like it, to want to do the absolute best job I could do no matter what. And I did. And I did this for a number of years. And so I know a lot about geriatrics now. I know about the medical community and how they treat geriatric patients. But it was extremely beneficial for my Kundalini equation. It was so very helpful. I know what true surrender is like. Absolute true surrender. And I know that you, Elizabeth, right now, as you take care of your mom and your dad, you're involved with these retirement communities and rest homes. I know that you're getting a taste of that as well, aren't you?
Oh, yes. And I was going to say, even in college, I worked at the psych ward at the VA hospital. So all my life, gunshot victims, you know, oh my gosh, you know, it's all my life. And actually working at the assisted living place now is so familiar to me, I guess, because I have done stuff like that my whole life. So at least I have experience, and I'm not just going in there because even though I'm just dealing with my parents, the Kundalini pulls me aside constantly to help literally everyone that lives there now. So
that's right.
And
that's right.
Have
that's
to, like you said, I got to just go and do what somebody wants me to do. This, somebody wants me to do that.
Just
sure.
Offer yourself as a slave, Elizabeth. I mean, that's basically how I would suggest you look at it. This is a terrible thing to say because the word slave has such a terrible connotation in our culture and cross-culturally. And even though the slave trade is alive and well in the United States and in Europe and in all the other, you know, so-called developed countries, it's still kind of a four-letter word, even though it's a five-letter word. It's really kind of a dirty type of concept to consider. But with regards to that, I mean, you literally, are you a slave when you offer yourself as a slave to the Shakti? Is a slave someone who offers themselves that way? I mean, I don't know. I mean, all I know is that in order for me to be able to do that type of work, I had to be beaten down to a pulp. I had to be homeless for a decade before that. I had to be ground into the dirt by the boot heel of the Shakti and the Shiva. I had to resist and get beaten down and beaten down and beaten down. I had to be put into the blender and turned on. What do they call that? Grate? I don't know. I had to be shredded.
Chopped.
And I mean, for years and years and years and years, I had to go through these levels. And you don't have to. You don't have to be, unless you do. You know, I'm looking here at Manisha, Mary, Phil, David, you know, Alana Seeger. I mean, do you have to be put into the blender, or can you take advantage of the knowledge that Elizabeth and myself and other people like Santara have put into these radio programs? can you utilize our years of refinement and augment your own refinement without having to step into the blender? I hope so. Otherwise, there's no point in doing this program. We should just end it right now. But yeah, and I don't know where Amelia is. I see that she's on the chat room, but I don't see her in the host scenario. So I don't know. I just hope all's well with her. I don't know if she's trying to get on or how this is. Don't know. But anyway, tolerance and the willingness to give yourself in total surrender is so very, very important. You need to accept when I was doing this and I was the caregiver, you know, I was the driver, I was the manservant, I was the nurse, I was the ambulance driver, I was the pool cleaner, I was the gardener, I was the housekeeper, I was the cook. Yes, I was the dog walker. I mean, you name it, you get to do it all. I was the light bulb changer. You know, I learned very
I'm that now. Oh my gosh.
So boy, does it teach you how to surrender so completely. You get very, very patient. Patient is definitely a virtue. It is one of the best virtues that the Kundalini will push you into learning about. Now, if you have kids, you got a family right now, yeah, you know, you've got to dance the dance of like you were doing, Elizabeth. You got to find, you know, you've got to go to work and you've got to, you know, raise the child, and the child has all these activities. You've got to be home for your spouse and you know, be there for your spouse, and you know, you've got to be there for the Shakti all the time. And it's okay. It is okay for you to feel a little deluged with burden. That's okay. That's okay. You just go for it. You just open yourself to it. You don't run from it. You just learn a way of being extremely mindful about what it is you're doing and when, and keep that schedule intact. Keep it written down. Keep it on your smartphone. Keep it in your head, but really stick to it, because that's also part of the refinement process. Just because you got kids and you know, you can't really take care of geriatrics doesn't mean that you're not being put through the refinement process. Kids are part of that refinement process. Pets are also part of that refinement process. So you do indeed have to pay your bills. You do indeed have to go shopping. You do indeed have to change those diapers. You do indeed have to chop the wood and haul the water. It's just you're doing a lot more than the regular mundane person is doing. Because not only are you doing it for family, for God, for you know, for country, whatever, but you're doing it for enlightenment, and you're doing it for God, and God is reaching His and her hand down upon you and steering you into direct levels of refinement, pushing you into the refining fire, pushing you into the flame, so that the flame can change you, can mold you, can really bring out the strongest qualities, the best qualities of you, and really leave to the refining fire those resistances and those judgments and those egocentrisms that we cling to so desperately. It's very important for us to realize this as we're inside of the Kundalini, because it's going to happen no matter what. And the deal is you can resist in pain, or you can resist in the knowledge that you are advancing yourself at a tremendous pace compared to the many lifetimes that you had to live in order to even get to the Kundalini activated or awakened state in this life. Very, very, very important to understand that. Does Lorena have any to Elizabeth?
Oh, just one little thing. She was reminding me just now of on the way, if I'm on the way to do a particularly distasteful task, she literally will have me pull over and think of all the things that, because I start to get really like kind of complaining about, oh God, I have to go and take them all the way, about whatever the task is. So she has me pull over and literally think of everything that I'm grateful for within that situation. And I mean where you got to really think of something to be grateful for within that. And then also to look at what things, you're going to be going and sitting in a doctor's office or something, you're taking other people, you're helping other people, but there's a time where you have to sit there. So she wants me to think about not only being grateful for the situation and what I can learn from it, but what I can do with all of that extra time that I'm going to, like, how can I pray or meditate or read or go on the groups or do something with that, say, hour and 20 minutes I'm going to have until I'm driving them 2 hours back from said appointment or whatever it is. So
she
now
just sounds
I'm
like she's
literally
saying, how can you be of service, right?
Well, I'm being of service already, and then while I'm being of service, there's all this free time while you're sitting there where you could be praying, you could be meditating, you could be
absolutely,
on the group, you could reading something that she's directing me to read, or in other words, there is no free time with the Kundalini.
There is no free time.
There is no free time.
So true. So true. Oh my God, that's so true. And she that's absolutely true. Many thanks to Laranya for bringing that in too. That's amazing. There is no free time with this, and yet there are times when you can just enjoy your commitment to the Kundalini. She will give you, and he will give you, certain levels of ecstasy and bliss and harmony and pleasure and beauty and joy and love that are off the scales of what you may have ever experienced before in your life. Absolutely gorgeous qualities. Just beyond what I can even describe. I mean, you can't really describe ecstasy very well. When I experience ecstasy, I am literally, even if I'm standing up in front of a seminar group, and I warn them before that I may go into ecstasy as I'm doing that, and I literally freeze, and sometimes I just feel my body pulsing with ecstasy, and when I come out of it, I just have to let it happen, and it's an enforced surrender. You don't get to choose. And when I come out of the ecstasy, I have to be reminded of where I'm at and what I'm saying or what I was saying, because it wipes you clean. It wipes you clean. It's a clean slate, tabula rasa, and it's very, very, it's very hard to come back, let me tell you. I think this is great. You have no free time, and yet the time that you spend giving yourself in surrender and in gratitude to the Kundalini turns right around and gives you definitive reward and encouragement to continue along this path. Have you experienced that, Elizabeth?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what she's saying too, is even when you're in the deep service and you're doing and you're wanting to complain or anything like that, at any given moment you can tap into that ecstasy or bliss or whatever in those moments too. In other words, it's not just, I think she's trying to show me that it's not just all drudgery and slave work. There's reward in there as well. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss the reward. If you're complaining, how are you going to be open to the reward if you're, complaining? So.
Well, this is true, and I find myself throughout my day, I'll be driving the Mazda around or something like that, and I'll be at a stoplight and I'll start convulsing in tears of bliss. And it'll only last for 5 or 6 seconds, but I'll get about 5 or 6 heaves out of that. And my eyes are, I'm already crying. And then, boom, I'm back on the road and I'm driving and I'm mindful, and you're not lost in the bliss or things of that nature. But, throughout my day, I'm reminded that really I am not living a life as a mundane person. I am reminded by the Kundalini that she is within me, he is operating through me, and that this life is all about the Kundalini now. No matter what happened, before the age of 30, and even in my case, having had the Kundalini of previous life and bringing it into this life, before the age of 30, wow, when I had that spinal sweep, that's when you really truly know that no longer are you in and of this world in any way, shape, or form the way you came into it. You have broken through the eggshell. You have come out of the cocoon, and you are open to this environment of refinement that she is pushing you through. She is the Sacred Mother, and she will put you through the training that you need in order to learn how to live in this new environment just the same way that your physical mother, your mom, had to train you and to clean your diapers and to teach you how to walk and talk and sit there and say, okay, open your mouth. It's like an airplane, the whole bit. That's what's happening to you now. And just the same way we complained and whined and cried in our resistance to having our teeth move in, or having a resistance to puberty, or having to do what we were told to do as a child, so will we find ourselves sometimes doing the same thing with the Shakti. She understands. She understands. She will not get pissed off and leave you. She may leave you to your own egocentrisms at times, but that's just long enough for you to realize that you're making a mistake by doing that. It's always a teaching environment with the Kundalini, always. So as you're with these tyrants, as you're with these people that are constantly challenging you, I'm going to suggest that terrible, terrible word once again. Become a slave to your Shakti. Let her manipulate you any way she wants. Let Shiva manipulate you any way he wants. Let yourself be totally given into this process. And if they set you up with a tyrant at work, you be thankful for that tyrant. Once again, if you see that tyrant is becoming possessed by an entity, well, then that's, if you can shield yourself from that to a degree, you talk to your Shakti about it. And she should not come back at you with words. You should receive probably more like telepathic downloads of packets of information. Now, I won't say that she never comes at you with words. That would be untrue. But typically, that's the realm of a corrupting entity that will constantly tell you things with words and communicate with you within the limited mindfulness of an unawakened or unactivated individual. The Shakti will often, even though, and I've heard the Shakti say hello to me, I've heard her say that, but she doesn't say much beyond that. The rest of the information is a download of a block of information, kind of like what I feel Elizabeth gets. And you have to discern what is being said. Is that right? Is that how it works for you, Elizabeth?
It is. It works like that, and it works where she'll just put like I'll just a whole scene that has happened will like flash before, like I'll see the whole scene, or the part of the scene she wants me to take a look at, or it's a whole, like you said, a download of a whole idea where I can write it down, and then sometimes as you write it down, more comes out of, it'll come that way. It'll kind of flow out in the writing.
Yeah, exactly. The writing, she really is, in the writing, it's an amazing thing. You read what was just written through you, and you're looking at it and you're going, wow, that's good. Who wrote that?
Yeah.
Who the heck wrote that? So become a slave to Shakti, my friends. Become a slave to the Shakti. And if she gives you to a tyrant, then you accept that tyrant, but not without discernment. You've got to kind of keep your tabs on the tyrant too. In a way, the tyrant is working for you rather than you for them. The tyrant is working for you in the way that he or she is allowing you to learn the lessons of tolerance, the lessons of patience, the lessons of forgiveness, in ways that you would know, which you would not be able to accept without being inside of a Kundalini flow. You allow that tyrant to teach you as long as it is not a corrupted teaching. Like I said, once it's corrupted, then you start looking for other work. Or once it's, if you feel that it's being corrupted, then you need to get out of that situation. And make sure that you don't identify corruption with the amount of pain that is being inflicted upon you. It was a severe pain to be a caregiver. Caregiving is one of the hardest jobs you can do, and one of the lowest paying jobs that you can do as well. You have to become the eyes, ears, nose, mouth, heart, lungs for another person or for a group of people like I was. You have to really, really, really pay very close attention. You have to have very strong memory skills to do that type of work. But it's excellent Kundalini work. Excellent Kundalini work. So if she puts you with that kind of a tyrant, whether that tyrant is an elderly person or a child or a teacher who's going to demand really, really, really hard and harsh things of you like I am, then you go with it and you give yourself 1,000% above and beyond what society would expect from you. And you give it from an internal standpoint. This happens internally first and externally second. And Elizabeth, I just want to say thank you to you and Laranya for coming on the program and giving such excellent perspective. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
And I'm going to go over here to Rosemary, and I'm going to ask Rosemary. Hey, Rosemary, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Very interesting.
What do you think about this? Because I know that you've had experiences with elder care as well.
Yes, I look back, I think, from my life, my younger life was far more demanding of me in terms of authority and requirements and being in the convent. And I was thinking about that and the school, and you wore the habit. I never minded wearing the
Rosemary,
habit, but it meant...
Pardon me for interrupting. Can you move your mouth closer to the microphone, please?
Okay, sorry. Is that helpful?
No, you got to come closer.
How about this? Is this helpful?
Are you on your computer? Is that what this is?
Oh, no, I'm on my handheld, and it's got two places, and one is speaking.
That's better. That's better, my dear. Thank you.
This one better?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Continue,
and it's
please.
being dominated by this phone, right now. And I need to be adjusting.
Surrender to the technology.
Yes, that is one of my hardest surrenders, and you know that.
Yes, that's true. I did that.
But going back to the time when I was a sister, and that's early 25 years, but you're in a community where everybody's doing that, and so that makes it a little easier. But
yeah, I can see where it was, because Kundalini makes you do it often alone. It's like you're alone in the dark. Yes.
And in times right now, whenever I did some work that we had a second seminar here, I didn't say a lot to people, but my second intention was that we have a Kundalini community that's in touch with supporting each other here. And I hadn't thought of it in this conversation, but that is some way that helps all of us with the demands that we haven't fully.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
everybody's going to have their own degree of surrender, their own recipe.
Yes.
The Kundalini will give them their own recipe for the surrender that they have to do. But it's nice to be able to have a community like your convent, really, that supports that surrender, that actually engages in the purposeful, conscious surrender to the Kundalini in the many various forms that it takes. So what that really would differentiate us from a convent, because the Kundalini, as previously mentioned, everybody's different when they come into the Kundalini. So it's not like you have a biblical type of reference material that you can use to look at the levels of surrender you have to do. She will place you in very, very specific social environments that will incur strong levels of surrender upon you. And these are the areas that you can come back to your community and say, oh, my God, yeah, I was working at this restaurant and the manager was really brutal with me and the cooks don't listen to me and I don't get my food on time and, they're really, sarcastic and hurtful and, oh, my God, what am I going to do? And they'll come up to another community member and the community member will say, hey, just remember this is from the Shakti. She's teaching you tolerance. She's teaching you patience. She's teaching you forgiveness. And here we go. So So I'm very appreciative of the Kundalini community, the Minnesota Kundalini community, and I'm very appreciative to you and Joey and Katie and everybody who participates in that community and helps that community stay alive. And so very much appreciative for you and for them for that. And I know Joey's listening too. So Joey, I'm giving a shout out to you as well, Miss 651528, and I won't give the rest of the number. So thank you.
And your support for us is essential. You are the voice for us in our community, reminders, and when we have, if anyone's listening from our community and that you aren't able to come to the monthly meetings that we do, Chrism works with, I encourage you to do come. It is amazing work that he does with each one of us. That's inspiring, and that makes a huge difference.
Well, the Shakti does. The Shakti does go right around the room, and she looks at each person's individual equation and begins to disseminate that equation and to explain that equation. And I just want to say that, following your example, Rosemary, is Manisha in Germany, and we're putting together another seminar for Germany, but I really feel that there's a Kundalini community waiting to happen in Germany and within the embrace of Manisha and perhaps Vincent and Julian and some of the people that attended the seminar there. I really feel strongly that there's a Kundalini community coming into existence in the country of Germany. And let me tell you what, the way Germany goes is the way many of the other countries in the European Union will go as well. And I just want to say thank you to Manisha and to the many people that participated in the seminar in Berlin, Germany this past September. And, a shout out to you, Manisha. I see that you're on the group, and I know it's like 2 or 3 in the morning there, Manisha. So thank you for being up so early on this Wednesday, this work day in Germany at this time of the evening. So thank you very much for that as well. And I wanted to give a shout out not only to you and Manisha, but to the other people that are doing this work. Emma, Travis, and Mary Jean Filcaruba, the people that I know that come here every week, and definitely for Elizabeth, who put together Kundalini at the Castle and really, really did a great job with that. Oh my gosh, and has done really extreme work since then with Laranya and her Kundalini and Brooks Kundalini, tricking me into going up and having a really difficult ayahuasca experience, but very, very beneficial at the same time. And so it's like, you got to walk your talk. Here I am saying, oh, yeah, surrender to the Kundalini. And yet, I go up there and, I'm all cocky and, and I say to the the shamans that are there. They're going, well, how much of the ayahuasca tea would you like? And I said, well, how much does that jigger hold? Oh my God, did I resent those words? Oh my God, oh Lord. Talk about being put into the blender. I was put into the blender so deep I didn't know what direction was which. But yeah. So you got to walk the talk, ladies and gentlemen. You have to walk the talk. And it's very, very important for people to understand that walking the talk is very different from talking the talk. Wouldn't you agree, Rosemary?
Yeah. And I'm thinking, as you were saying that, how, someone asked me today something about my church membership and blah, 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 and I won't go there. But I said, no, I don't belong there anymore. And I really said, I do like about an hour and a half in the morning, an hour and a half in the evening. And I was able to say this because I do this. I'm committed to that every day, no matter what time it is in the evening or what time I have to get up.
Rosemary,
yes.
You have to say that, because when you say you do an hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half in the evening, people aren't going to know what you're doing.
No. She knew I was talking about meditation in my prayer.
Okay.
She knew. But that's right. But it is, and I was able to provide that example to her of what my spiritual life is.
Yeah, that's 3 hours a day, ladies and gentlemen. Rosemary does 3 hours a day of Kundalini spiritual practice. I mean, think about that. How would that work in your day? How would that work in your day? And what, that is a strong level of commitment, a strong level of surrender to the Kundalini. And if the Kundalini in you, ladies and gentlemen, are suggesting that you do a 3 hour practice, but you don't have any idea about how that looks, well, you just go ahead and private message me. You can reach me at K Fire for All. That's K as in King, FIREFORALL at yahoo.com. So K Fire for All at yahoo.com. You go ahead and send me a private email. Let me know that you heard this on the radio show, and I will give you an hour and a half practice to do in the morning and in the evening. It can be very helpful. It can be very, very, very helpful to have that type of a practice that you do daily, and it really is pushing Rosemary right along. She is going full steam ahead into this, and it's very, very, very gratifying to see her do that and to see the effect that she has on the population around her. Just like Elizabeth. Elizabeth, she works in a bookstore, so she interacts with the general public. Well, Rosemary interacts with the general public too. She just does it in different ways that her Kundalini allows her to do. And she's putting that community together, and she puts out newsletters, and she puts out reminders, and she calls people, she invites people, she talks with people. She's really, really walking this talk too, just in a very different way than Elizabeth does, or Santara does, or I do. We all are given a very, very unique combination of instructions from our Kundalini to do very, very specific levels of task. And this goes right back to the topic of this program, which is really, surrendering, the different levels of engagement within a surrendered understanding, and the difficulties that this engagement can incur. And that goes right back to these tyrants that we meet in our life. They're not accidental for a Kundalini person. No difficult person, whether it's somebody who cut you off on the freeway or somebody who did something to you that would normally incur the wrath of an unawakened individual, these are not accidental periods in your life. These are not accidental little mini episodes. These are things to really look at your Kundalini with. What is she teaching me? Well, she's teaching me that person needs to get ahead of me. Well, fine. That's fine. You go right ahead, ma'am. You go right ahead, sir. But it also extends into the level of charity and gifting that you give into society as you begin to notice those who have less than you, or those who are being more challenged than you in specific areas, like food or warmth or buying that person dinner without letting them know that it was you that did it. Keeping away from the whole self-aggrandizement and just putting your money into the mouth of an individual as a gift of Shakti, as a gift of grace, rather than as a gift of, atta girl or atta boy type of scenario. Very important for you to look into this and to practice this. Tyrants come in many, many forms, and sometimes these tyrants are the tyrants of the heart that tug at your heartstrings and cause you to make that U-turn and go back and give that person $1 or $5 or whatever it is that you have to give. And once again, I walk this talk. Even though I live off of donations, I walk this talk. The donation that you may give to me is a donation that I'll be giving to somebody else. It's interesting how that works. Very interesting how that works. Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you for being on the program, my dear.
Yes, you're welcome.
And so as I don't have Santara, therefore I don't have somebody to ask me the questions, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can do some of that myself here. Yes, I put a few things out there. One person asked, is Kundalini evil? Somebody told me that it is. Wow, well, Kundalini evil. Well, I would have to say, no, it is not evil. And yet, if you look at our understandings of what evil is something that is very corrupt, that is having you do bad things. And yet, is it an evil force that makes you homeless because you're resisting it? Couldn't people see that as an evil force, as a possessing force? Don't you think that might be classified by some people as being evil? Is it an evil force that forces you to change your life, the way you live your life, the way you understand your life? Would that be an evil force? Is Kundalini evil? Well, I will say this. Kundalini will force you to change your life in very specific ways. Typically not in ways that hurt other people, but sometimes in a way that will hurt your ego or your egocentrism. I wouldn't qualify that as evil, but some people would. If you're involved in a belief system that sees serpents as symbols of evil, well then you get the Kundalini and all of a sudden you have all these snakes coming up to you. Wouldn't that make you think that the Kundalini is evil? Or would it not make you think that perhaps your belief system is the one that's evil? I don't know. You're going to have to make the choice. I would say that if there's a force that comes upon you that wants you to murder people or to hurt people or to corrupt people in certain ways, that force itself would be evil. But I've never seen Kundalini do that. What I have seen and experienced is that the Kundalini will come to you and then open you up to corruptive entities. And these entities will definitely tell you to do things like that. More often, they will tell you to just commit suicide and kill yourself. That is an evil force. But that is a force of evil that the Kundalini is exposing you to so that you can not do it, so that you can strengthen your own individual personal resolve and not make those choices towards expressing an evil entity, corruptive force through you. She pushes you into the flame of refinement, remember. And that flame of refinement can be being pushed into a circle of corruption that you should not respond to, that you should not listen to, that you should not hear, and that you definitely should not bring into an expressive activity upon the physical world and with the physical social environment. But if you don't know that, I think that it would be interpreted as a definite evil force. So it's very, very, very important to be discerning of the special qualities of spiritual interaction that the Kundalini opens you to. Is the Kundalini evil? No. Can it expose you to evil? Yes. And we'll go to another question here. I'm trying to go to these obvious questions. And if you have anything that you want to say about that, I want you to feel free to call in. And here's a call-in number. Any of you, even those of you that are on the chat group right now, you can call in. The guest call-in number is area code 347-934-0026. And since I don't have Santara here, I'll just be plugging you in right directly, but I'll be hovering over that disconnect button in case somebody's calling in to as we've done before, people call in to be rude and crude at times. And so let's see with any of these other questions here. Well, here's one. What is the difference between a Kundalini process and the big religions practice? The K practice is a hard way and wants you to be isolated. And I mean, this is not the finished process, what they're asking. But what do other people practice in a religion, for example, like Christian or Islam, and have not, boy, this is really hard English. It's really the right way to make the K longer process, and I'm not sure in this way, which is rich. And some of the people, somebody say, well, religion points to the truth. Kundalini is about taking you to it in reality. Well, I like that answer. That's a very good answer. And this person continues, he says, religion talks about God, detachment, wisdom. The Kundalini process is about actually clearing all the ignorance in your mind and body and replacing it with wisdom. Hey, this guy, Orville, I'm going to like those two because those are really good answers. Religion gives you, it might plant you the seed. Now, not all religions do this. Some religions that really struggle themselves with that. I'll use Christianity as an example. Some of the sects, and I'm going to bring Rosemary into this conversation as well, and Elizabeth too. So hello, ladies.
Hi.
It's within Christianity, and I'm not picking on Christianity except just through some of their literature, some of the verbiage that Christianity picks is, let us eat his flesh and let us drink his blood. Boy, does that not go right back into the previous question about is Kundalini evil? Oh my God. Just coming off of Halloween, let us eat his flesh and drink his blood. If you look at that literally, ladies, I think that could be construed as fairly challenging. What are your thoughts, Elizabeth?
I like what you always had said before about, religions kind of where they go to a certain point and they're all leading towards enlightenment, I suppose, but kind of where they leave off when you have gone through a whole system is typically where the Kundalini begins.
Well, this is like you with Kabbalah, right? Kabbalah?
Yes. Yeah.
So you went through the whole deal. You became the high priestess of Kabbalah of Los Angeles, for crying out loud. It's no small feat.
Let's not call that. But yeah, and because you go through all of, at least in Kabbalah, and I think it's true with a lot of systems, you're doing the practice with Kundalini yoga, which is not a religion, but same thing, you're doing the practice, it's all leading towards having the Kundalini. It's just that most of the religions don't know that that's what they're doing.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. And I thank you. That's a great perspective, Elizabeth. Absolutely. Really. And Rosemary, what is your perspective on that?
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. One of the things is that there are scattered people over these thousands of years that have reached the Kundalini experience without the words that are used, maybe, and they are recognized as holy people.
It's true.
That's
true.
Saint Teresa
Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint Teresa of Avila, and any of the saints that I think that came through the Kabbalistic tradition as well. Okay, I hear you.
Chrism, my main criticism is that I learned about that as a young person, but it was always taught those special people, but not for the rest of us. And that is not true. It is a call for each of us.
Good point.
Yeah. Excellent point. It is for each of us. And thank you, Rosemary. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah. That is very, very, very true. It is for all of us to have and to hold within the understanding that Kundalini should be taught in the public school system, in my opinion. Kundalini should be taught. Kundalini should be understood. And this is one of the reasons why we're even doing this program. Not to say that, they're going to listen to this program in the public school system. I'm sure that's not the case. But as this world evolves and as people evolve upon this world, not just the present people, but the future people as well, more and more and more people will be coming into levels of enlightenment, and more people will be talking about it as long as there is an internet to speak of. Looks like we have a caller here. Oh, boy. Let's give it a shot and see how things go. Come on. I pressed the button and I just get that little swirly sign. Oh, off they go. Okay, so we lost our caller. And here's another caller. Hello, caller. How are you?
Hello. This is David.
Hello. Who am I speaking with?
This is David.
This is iMagic Art?
Yeah.
Hey, David. Welcome to the program. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chrism.
Yeah. And it's nice to speak to you, to hear your voice for the first time. And we've shared a few emails, and so it's a pleasure to have you on the program, my friend. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. If you can move it just a little closer to your microphone. Give me your perspective on what you've been hearing.
I was raised Jewish, and I've studied Kabbalah for quite a few years. I found a lot of parallels between what everybody's saying and with the chakra system and the Hindu, the Kabbalah, as well as Kundalini. I really wanted to make a comment. I have been listening through the archives and what you've been saying about the safeties, and I really think the concentration on the safeties and the forgiveness and the gratitudes in the Tibetans is the most valuable practice you can do. I came into a premature Kundalini awakening through drug use, and I think it could have been a lot easier the past 20 years if I had been worried about the safeties instead of my enlightenment.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right on target with that, David. The safeties practice, that's what should be taught in school.
Absolutely.
I know the kindergartners would love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the safeties, the forgiveness, the tolerance, the trust, the honesty, the like you say, the generative techniques like the prayer, the meditation, the 5 Tibetans, the alternate nostril breathing. I mean, this really begins to set a person on a path that is much more nutritious than, say, some of the other paths that a person might be presented with. And I know that you got presented with some pretty challenging paths. Did you not, David?
I did, yeah. I was after phenomenon, entity experience, and as much enlightenment as I could take, and I was not ready for what happened.
Yeah.
It's been about 20 years, and I turned my back on it. Maybe 10 years ago, I had a little bit of a reprieve, and it came back about 5 years ago, and I received another dark night of the soul that put my whole family into crisis. It's been horrible. We're just coming out of it now, and So I finally looked back into Kundalini again after 10 years of just ignoring it, and found you and talking about the top-down activations and magic mushrooms and the refinery process, and it just everything started to click into place. It's amazing.
Yeah, magic mushrooms. I swear to God. I was walking a dog today, and I was out in at the wildlife refuge, and I saw some horse poo, and it immediately made me think of magic mushrooms that grow typically on cow poo, the cow pus. And I thought, oh my God, what a game changer those things can do for a person. Oh man. And not in always a positive way either. Now, I've taken magic mushrooms. I know what they're like, and I know what they do. But through the grace of the divine, the top of my head was not blown off. I've taken them about 5 times, and I could really, really see how that would just blow your reality to smithereens. Did it do this for you?
It did, and that's what I was looking for. The problem is the paranoia set in, nervousness set in, the anxiety turned to panic, and I was having trouble functioning. I had to stop taking acid and magic mushrooms. I couldn't smoke pot anymore. That used to be something that was very relaxing for me. I couldn't do it anymore. It would bring everything back. Eventually, I quit smoking, quit drinking. I mean, it was a 5 to 10 year process, but little by little, I believe the Kundalini was guiding me to do that stuff.
I totally agree with you. I think that she was taking certain chemicals out of your system. I wouldn't be surprised if she took caffeine out as well.
I hung on to that one. Until I started listening to your programs. I've started taking that out of my diet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Wow. Yeah. So you have definitely been through that refinement process. I'm gonna bring Elizabeth into our conversation here too. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
Yeah. He David has mentioned that he's come through the Kabbalistic understandings as a Jewish person as well. Was that similar to what you were studying down there in LA?
No, it's a different. I was doing Western occult, and they study a form of Kabbalah, and they study the Kirker tree version of the Tree of Life, but it's not in the Jewish tradition or anything. So it's not like the Kabbalah Center, for instance, in Los Angeles.
Did you study something similar to that, David?
Much more.
I studied on my own. It was more of a New Age derivative of the Judaic Kabbalah, but that's how I found the Christian mystical Kabbalah and the New Age universal Kabbalah, the Jewish Kabbalah. I kind of looked at all of them, but discarded the religious part of it. And one of the most valuable things I learned from Kabbalah is as you open to these sefirot, which I look at as the chakras on the middle pillar, is if you enter them in a state that you're not refined, instead of obtaining the virtues, you'll face the vices. And that
absolutely
was very Kundalini, staring me in the face 20 years ago.
I never heard that. That's actually a new information for me. That's very cool. I'm glad they say that.
Yeah.
No, and that is the same thing then. I thought
and all the
studied
diagrams
like a more traditional.
Yeah. Well, the tarot and the path working of the tarot shows the serpent winding up the Kabbalistic tree of life, and all the symbolisms there. It's wonderful.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, one of the things that really intrigued me about Kabbalah was one of the biggest warnings of what not to do. Of course. So I looked into what was called the Pardes meditation. Have either of you heard of that?
No.
No.
It's the meditation that Rabbi Shakiva and two other rabbis did that. The first rabbi that did it committed suicide. And the second rabbi that did it disavowed his religion. And Rabbi Akiva, I think it's Akiva.
Akiva, I have heard of that. Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah.
He's the only one that came out intact. And, very, very powerful. And it's basically the paradise meditation that takes you into paradise. And paradise evidently is very different for folks.
Yeah, and I believe these are folks. These are rabbis that have spent a lifetime in the refinery process in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, David, and thank you, Elizabeth. I'm going to put you into the blue, my dear.
Thank you.
And David, it's definitely the whole magic mushroom thing, and coming into the top-down activation the way you did. Wow, that is a very, very, very strong process.
Yeah.
It's one of the more difficult processes. Many people don't survive that. You realize that, right?
Yeah, it's been over 20 years, and I'm a kindergartner in the process. It's just absolutely, mind-blowing. Well,
for you to even say that shows a level of maturation that defies the words you've just said. You have been inside of a very, very strong level of education, and within that level of education, you have survived, which is an amazing thing in and of itself. You've not only survived, but you have a family, you have a spouse, you have the responsibilities that I was describing earlier with regards to having petty tyrants in your life. And here you are listening to this program.
Yeah.
And I think, David, may I go as far as to say that you are actually flourishing within your current Kundalini environment. Would this be true?
Well, energetically, I've noticed a lot of changes as I've kind of allowed myself to touch ground for the first time. And, I've just started picking up the refinery process, and, I have high hopes for that. It's been tough. It's been a really rough ride. It's just great to finally realize what the heck has been going on all these years.
Yeah, well, you've been stepping into basically, you're in what Akiva was doing with the paradise meditation. You just had to go through some of those more difficult levels that the pillars, would have represented within the Kabbalistic tradition. You had to see the vices. You had to see those lower levels of the astral, where you have the demonic, you have the areas where you are being totally corrupted, and you're having to fight through that level of corruption that sometimes has to take place when you do the top down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that lasted a very long time.
Yeah. And that's enough. A lot of people swallowed into that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't consciously project and do some of those things, but I've experienced it since I was a little kid. I wake up from dreams flying all the time, and after that top-down activation, it turned bad. I had to stop meditating and hope the astral travels went away because they turned really bad. It was, really scary for a while. Yes.
And so when you practice the safeties, can you turn your safeties into a morning and evening type of practice? Are you able to do them twice a day?
On some days, yeah. There are days that I would only be able to do it once a day, but actually for the Tibetans, I'm sure some of the other safeties I could apply throughout the day.
Yeah, and throughout the days and nights of your life as well, like the forgiveness, like the tolerance, like the emotional behavioral changes can be done all the time, and I recommend them to be done all the time because they just make your life so much more beautiful, so much more loving, so much more involved in a Kundalini expression that is there all the time. Have you been able to dip into the levels of bliss that this practice can bring you?
Somewhat. I get a lot of, I'm not sure if it's the right term, I think they're energetic kriyas. I experience a lot of spontaneous, like mini spinal sweeps. I just didn't know what it was because it initiates from the top down and then comes up. So I was very confused at what it was until I heard the description.
So you get kind of like a V formation. It comes top down and then bounces from the bottom and comes back up.
Yes, if I'm open and clear enough. Usually if I stretch or do a couple things, it can happen pretty easily.
Those are good. That's just, I mean, you've cleared the way, basically. That is pointing to a energetic anatomy that has been cleared by virtue of a lot of this hard work that you've done and a lot of these difficult experiences that you've survived. Well, you've achieved a level of clarity within that spinal column that allows it to come down and come straight back up. And that should be attendant with levels of bliss as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it comes in the form I can, by concentration or by audible. When I'm listening to something, I can experience a lot of levels of bliss that way.
Oh, good. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, nicely done. I just want to congratulate you on engaging this journey, and coming to the point of the pyramid in a way, and being able to really see over the distance now, the distance of your experiences of past, but also the distance around you now. You're at the top of the pyramid. This is where Kundalini lives. She lives at the top of the pyramid. She pulls people up the pyramidal steps, but she lives at the top. And you're living at the top right now, my friend. And I just want to say congratulations to you.
Thank you, Chrism.
And blessings to your family as well.
Thank you. I had one more question. Something I'm really confused about is I was under the impression through my studies and through what I've gathered that the refinery process was kind of required within a Kundalini activation in order to experience an awakening or a spinal sweep.
Okay, well, sure. Certainly from the bottom to top type of scenario, there's definitely a refinement. It's more of a logical, linear type of understanding of, you get activated by some ways, whether it's through drug interaction or an accident, which wouldn't really be an accident, or through studies, or through just the karmic equivalent of the fruit is ripe, or through Shaktipat. And then you have that logical, the activation has taken place, and now you're being pulled into certain levels of phenomena that require you to do certain levels of activity, certain levels of transformation, certain levels of change. Now, when you have the top down, you're going from a level of refinement to a level of density, and that brings along with it strong levels of difficulty, which I know that you've had. With the difficulty, that difficulty that you experience is a school of refinement. Okay, it's not as smooth as it can be within a bottom to top, which isn't always smooth either. But when you're going top down, and you're going top down through the use of an entheogen such as magic mushrooms, or certainly, with acid and whatnot, when you're going top down that way, it's a brutal refinement as opposed to a linear refinement, if you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So everything that you experienced over those years and years and years of interaction with entities and interaction with, the experiences that you were given, certainly the disruption of your astral traveling, the disruption of your spiritual self in many ways, that in and of itself was a refinement period that took its toll. It not only did it take its toll on you, in many ways it thrust you out, consciously saying, no, I will not do these things anymore.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And during an activation, it becomes paramount. I just get really confused when an awakening happens. I just kind of thought, oh, this is enlightenment. Now that's the end, when it's actually just kind of the beginning of the process.
Yes, I was just going to say it's the beginning. Yeah. It's like it's like the two circles that form the Vesica Pisces, right? You have when the two edges touch, that's the activation, and that's when you're just getting the idea, the understanding, the beginning of the merging of two worlds. And as that activation proceeds, as those two perimeters begin to blend with each other, that's really when the real refinement process kicks in. And you were given the grace of being able to stop. Not everybody is. Not everybody is when they take an entheogen or an herb or a plant or a drug, a DMT, call it whatever you will. They don't always get to have it stop. These are the folks that in many ways will end up in the psych ward because it's not stopping. And they are constantly within levels of interaction with things and processes and beings and creation that nobody else on this world, this mundane world, are experiencing. And they have no reference points whatsoever. They are clinically crazy because of the phenomena that is coming for them and is interacting with them. They are talking to the air quite a bit. And they're not able to, geez Louise, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, fortunately I was familiar and welcomed some of those things, and I had a good group of friends that also helped that were familiar with some of that. So.
Nice, very good.
Yeah, I was fortunate to have had some help, even if they didn't quite know what it was.
Yeah. And so as you know, grace allowed you to stop, to say, hey, this is beyond my pay grade here. I'm just going to stop the meditation. I'm going to stop the prayer. I'm going to stop the divination. I'm going to stop the interaction with the entities. I'm going to stop across the board. Am I right?
I didn't do it willingly. It took a process of 4 or 5 years. Little by little, I gave up one thing, then the next thing, and because it was just driving me crazy. So I had to let go of some of those things. Even temporarily. Some of them came back, and then it was okay. It just took a few years.
Well, you did well, David. You did well, because not everybody has that personal self-resolve to be able to say, oh, hey, I'm going to stop with the Kabbalah, or I'm going to stop with the out-of-body experiences, or I'm going to stop with using entities for this or that, or I'm going to stop taking advice from entities, or I'm going to stop these areas. That's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Because many of these areas don't want to stop using you. That's a big deal.
I had a lot of good Kundalini communication and guidance along the way. I didn't know what that was. I couldn't discern between entities, between my mind going crazy or the Kundalini's teaching. Sometimes it would come through other people, synchronicities, which I didn't know was possible. Didn't know to trust it or to listen to that. Now it's all the time, every day. But back then, I just didn't know.
Oh, nice. Well, I just want to say, well done, David. Well done.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for your teachings. It's really turned my perspective on everything. It's given me a practice to start back up again, to catch up with what I started many years ago, and that's just wonderful to have. So thank you.
I mean, you're a young person. No offense to you. I mean, you're a mature person, but you're also a young person in many ways. And so the scenario is I think this happened exactly the way it needed to happen for you. So now, look at it this way. Instead of being a rose bush, you're an oak tree. And an oak tree takes a lot longer to mature than a rose bush. Am I right?
Yeah.
And so now it's time to really, spread those branches out and really, really take in that sun. Take in that inner sun and let that inner sun really, really flow through you now. You know and it's telling you that you're on the right path. So walk that path and let that path walk you. And keep coming to the show because I love your little handle there, iMagic Art, and Kundalini is that magic art. Compared to a mundane, understanding like a scientific understanding, Kundalini is beyond physics, and so are you.
Well, thank you, Master Chrism. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
And thank you, David, for calling in. And I'm going to go ahead and put you in the blue here. And that goes for everybody here that's listening to this. Mary Jean, Lana Seeker, Emma, Yassine, Beatrice, who just logged in, and Elizabeth, and Joey and Rosemary. I mean, it's very, very, very true that you are gifted individuals. And none of this, I don't care how old you are. I don't care how old you are when this information comes to you. That is the time it needs to come to you. Too late, you're not too early. Kundalini doesn't really operate along a human created time schedules. It operates from a very, very different level of time, which includes karma, which includes the level of refinement within the mundane world that the person has wanted to go through. You saw the patterns of probability of your lifetime before you took the life, before you came into the body as a child. You saw what levels of patterns of probability were going to come into your lifetime, and you chose this life because you agreed with those patterns of possible probabilities that were going to expose themselves to you throughout your life, throughout the pattern of existence and refinement that your life brought you to. You saw this, and you agreed to it. And so I don't care if you're 8 or 80. Doesn't matter. You've come into this, and it's coming into you right now. As you listen to this program, as you listen to the voice of myself, of Elizabeth, of Rosemary, of David, of these people who have the Kundalini flowing through them. I don't care if you're listening live right now or you're listening in the archives. This energy is coming into you right now. And it is providing a level of refinement to your process right now as soon as you listen to this. So I really do encourage you to listen to these programs. These programs are a form of audible Shaktipat that you really can't get anywhere else. Seriously, folks. And I want to welcome Josephine to the program. Oh, she just logged out, so I'll welcome her logging out. And if anybody else that's in the chat room wants to call in, please do so. The number is 347-934-0026. And I want to thank David and iMagic Art for calling in, and for Elizabeth and Laranya for answering and speaking on these questions, and for Rosemary for giving her perspective. Really want to thank all of you for that. And I've got 21 minutes left on the program. I do, as people are figuring out whether they want to call in or not, I'm going to give some of the websites. We are at KAS1, that's KAS1UK.com. So www.kas1uk.com, that's a new one. We're also at Kundalini Awakening Systems, the number 1.com. We are also at various groups such as Kundalini Awakening ! On Facebook, Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Yahoo groups. If you're looking for videos, we've got about 340 videos on YouTube, and that is at chrism.kundalini on YouTube channel, and you'll see the videos will come up. We're also on Google Plus at Kundalini Awakening ! On Google Plus. So on Facebook, we have many groups on Facebook. As I mentioned, Kundalini Awakening exclamation point, Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Facebook, Kundalini Awakening Systems 2 on Facebook, as well as Kundalini Awakening Systems 3 on Facebook groups, Kundalini People on Facebook groups, Kundalini Radiance Community. This is a group for people that want to put together an intentional community that is for those going through the Kundalini Awakening process and wanting to live that life within a community of Kundalini Awakening people. We also have Kundalini Healing. We have a Kundalini Healing group that is public, and we have a Kundalini Healing group that is private, both on Facebook. We also have Kundalini Healing on the Yahoo groups and various blogs. Kundalini, Chrism-Kundalini, I believe, at blogspot.com. Ascension-Kundalini, which is another blog spot. If you want to make any kind of a donation to the work that is being done through myself, then please feel free to go to Ascension-Kundalini at blogspot.com, I believe, and there's a PayPal button there, and you can make any level of donation. They're all, I don't care if it's 25 cents to $2.5 million. All of the donations are gratefully accepted, and they do help me pay this bill here, this internet bill here, and the other bills that I have here, and they do help this work continue to be propagated into the populations, and so those are some options that people have, and I want to thank everybody, Rosemary, Joey, Elizabeth, and David for calling in. I'd like to thank Alana Seeker, Mary Jean, Manisha, Emma for being in the chat room, as well as the various guests that are there right now. I'd like to thank Amelia Santara, for providing this program. She wasn't able to make it today. I don't know why, but she wasn't able to make it into the studio today. And I just want to give a shout out to Ireland and Amelia O'Connor and the O'Connor Kings that spread their seed across the Irish island. I'd like to thank everybody there in Ireland for providing this program. And I'm going to go ahead and terminate this program right now. And as I don't think anybody else is going to be able to call in, and I just want to go ahead and give people that opportunity. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on the program today. And I look forward to seeing you all here on Wednesday. And once again, these teachings that come through these programs, there is no script. This is streaming Kundalini much of the time. Streaming Kundalini, and this is an audio Shaktipat for those who may be looking for that. I will go ahead and end the show similar to the way I began it. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.